Thank you to DangerTalk's presenting sponsor, DraftKings. Download the DraftKings app now and use code DangerTalk. Now back to DangerTalk interview with the one and only John David Washington. Let's talk about your new movie, Tenet. I mean, this movie is unbelievable, first of all. I'm excited to see it this weekend. I'm actually going to take, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to take a little Sierra on a little date night, to watch it this weekend. I'm fired up about it. Yeah. I did get to see the trailer. I did get to see a little bit of the BTS and all that. And I think Chris Nolan handpicked you to be in this Tenet movie. What was that phone call like? I mean, I know Chris Nolan's one of the best in the world.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like, it would be like playing for like a Parcells or even a Lombardi for that matter. He is one of the greatest directors of all time, in my opinion. I've loved his movies, since I can remember. So every time you go to his movies, it's going to be, especially in the movie theater, it's going to be an experience, a unique one. He's just such a phenomenal. He's such a storyteller, a brilliant filmmaker. So when I got the call, when I found out that he wanted to meet me, it was like, I don't know, I would imagine if he get drafted first round or something, it was something unbelievable, so crazy. Now that didn't guarantee the job or anything. In fact, it was funny. When we ended up sitting down and talk for like 2.5 hours, we didn't talk about anything Tenet. We talked about, what we loved about movies. We talked about family, my experience with, in football and my athletic background. And I was just thinking to myself as this was going, like, not only am I, wow, this is so crazy. I'm talking to Chris Nolan right now. We're just kicking it. This is nuts. But like how, like, he's just a down to earth, cool dude. Like he just, he knows movies. He can quote Wayne's World. He knew the documentary, Hoop Dreams. I'm like, man, this dude's just well versed. Because when you think of somebody as big as he is, as I think, as he's just the number one stunner. He doesn't even seem human. He's just like, this guy might be a cyborg or something, a person that you'll never think you'll ever cross paths with, you'll never meet. So not only that, I'm meeting him, I'm just kicking it with him in his office. This is nuts. So it went. I felt like it went well, but I felt like there was no pressure because I didn't feel like it was a job interview. We were just talking, and if anything came out of it or nothing came out of it, I'd have just been just as satisfied because, hey, I could say I kicked it and chopped it up with one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. So fast forward to when I get the call about I got the job, and not only get the job, I get to be the quarterback of the team. I was just that felt like I don't have any kids, like, as mentioned before, but I imagine that's like seeing him firstborn or something, because that it was one of the happiest moments of my life when I found out that he picked me. And then we just got to work, man. It took me about 4 hours to read the daggone script because I ain't never read nothing like that before in my life. I found myself, reading 20 pages and going back 10, reading another 20, going back 10. Like, wait, I can't believe how are they gonna pull this off. So it was one of the. I've never read anything like it. A story, just the way he deals with time and the way he deals with plot and character in the sci-fi world. It's incredible.
Well, I heard one of the crazy things about the movie, which I'm fired up to see. But also, I heard one of the things that you had to do just to even get the job and everything else. Didn't you have to get like locked away in a room or something crazy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me about that.
I did. I don't know if I was locked in the room, but I didn't hear a lock. I'll put it like that. But I was definitely isolated, and I pulled my iPad out and bumped some classical music. Actually, I was bumping the score. I know this is kind of corny, but I was bumping the Hans Zimmer score of Interstellar while reading the script. Is that on the nose? Maybe, maybe not. But I just couldn't believe the moment I was having, like reading his script in his office that I'm gonna do. Like I felt like I was in Inception. Like, this is obviously, I'm gonna wake up soon. This isn't happening. But I was isolated by myself and in his office and read it for like 4 hours.
What's it like filming a movie, around the world? I mean, obviously that movie was filmed in Estonia, I think Italy, I think it was in India as well, Denmark, Norway, all these different places, obviously United States, United Kingdom and stuff like that. So what was it like, filming that around the world, and how was that process?
Oh man, it was life-changing. I mean, I was, for 2019, I was basically overseas for the majority portion of the year. And it just gave me such I don't know. I felt like an awakening almost. Like even in Mumbai, I was just had such a spiritual sort of breakthrough, if you will. You know, the place was so peaceful, so tranquil. The people there were so inviting and accepting of this foreigner that was in their on their land, that they embraced me like, I don't know. It was like they were reading through my soul or something. It was I just felt so at home, as if like, I don't know, like I'd been there before in another life. You know, I loved Mumbai, and the food was just unbelievable. I love the food because I've been warned, like, you might get sick, you gotta be careful with the food, but I had no issues there. You know, I connected with everything about that place. I loved Italy as well. I mean, the Amalfi Coast. I mean, come on, we're just slicing across the
That's
Mediterranean on a boat. You know, looking as cool as I can be. You know, playing a spy. Like it was just. I mean, that's like the dream. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, it was just so remarkable to be in all these locations, and it just gave me great perspective on how, you know, people are living their lives all across the world, all over the world. There's some great, you know, just I met some great people, some happy people living their lives, enjoying the simple pleasures of life, you know. And I just got a lot of love from those locations, those two in particular, but every place. And what it did, these locations, is gives the movie a personality. It just takes on the personality of the locations, because Christopher Nolan doesn't believe in green screens. You can't say, oh, that's computer generated, oh, that looked fake. None of that is fake. Everything you see in camera is where we were. And especially for times like now where traveling is limited, you really can't travel. So being able to escape into these locations through a movie, through the IMAX experience, it's just so gratifying to see. It just makes you feel good.
Yeah, I think one of the coolest things that I saw, you know, in the movie and in the trailer and all that too, is just going to be this idea of these stunts that you're doing. Are you actually doing these stunts? I know Christopher Nolan, as you mentioned, he loves it to be, you know, actually real. Like when you're sitting there
Right.
watching the movie on IMAX, like I'm gonna be Friday night. When you're sitting there on date night watching it, it's like you're actually watching the real thing. So for you, like talk to me about these stunts. I heard you had to do all these stunts that are crazy.
Oh man, well, the like you and your wife can appreciate, you know, rehearsal, you know, practice. And it was a Christopher Nolan training camp for 2 months, learning how to sort of think in the world of inversion. You know, I'm so used to advancing the football forward. You know, you're usually penalized, or it's not, or a negative play is not a good thing in football. Even in a fight, even when you're fighting, you want to fight forward. But in the inverted world, backwards is advancing. You know, up is down, right is left. So it's the laws of physics and quantum physics and gravity all are shifted because of these rules. So I had to learn how to like blink, walk, talk, run, fight, avoid, evade punches, you know, and defense mechanisms. All that I had to learn forwards and backwards. So it was a trip to like teach my body, and I felt comfortable and confident that I would be able to pick it up with the reps. Um, but that being said, it was a trip to like having to learn to what the way to be, you know, like this with these laws and these rules in place, especially because Christopher Nolan is all practical. There were no camera tricks, you know, we had to do it all ourselves. I mean, we had to really learn how to fight this way to make it look as real and authentic as possible. So I loved it. You know, my body didn't agree with it as much. I had to pamper it. I got the massages. I got the ice tub, cold tub. All of that stuff I had to do just like I was playing ball. And it was like, and your wife would appreciate this too. It felt like learning a dance, you know, in a lot of ways. You drill it over and over again to make it look like it's seamless, to make it look like, you know, you're not like you didn't rehearse these moves. And then, like, as you know, like when you get in that zone, when you could just read the defense and you have to ad lib, even though you've studied it one way, but if somebody decides, if there's a DB that makes a move that you weren't expecting, you have to ad lib, you have to adjust. And a lot of times that would happen in these fight scenes where we'd adjust the scene, we would adjust the move because it's going to be better. It's going to be give it more of a richness when we're in the space. And you got to be able to adapt and do that, just like when you're learning your lines. So it was a lot of work that was put in. There was a great team of people. George Cotto, who's been Chris's stunt coordinator for a long time, and Jackson, our fight coordinator. Shout out to those guys, because the day in and day out grind of it, we were doing 3 a days for about 2 months. It really got me the confidence that I needed to be the protagonist.
I think one you talked about, you know, this idea of inversion, thinking of things backwards, you know, in reverse. And what's really cool about
Mm-hmm.
that, because for me, I've never done that physically, but I love thinking about things forward and thinking about things backwards visually. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of a little secret of visualization, in my opinion, is that to always think about, obviously you think about the ball going into the end zone, but you're also thinking about what it looks like backwards and feeling the ball in your hand. And so that's one of the things that I try to do on Saturday nights, is thinking about the ball going forward, but also envisioning the crowd coming everybody's raised up already and everything going backwards. And that's always been a problem of my visualization in terms of inversion, and thinking of it backwards as well. And so I think it's important to think about forwards, but also backwards. And that's when you start mastering this idea of the mind, mastering this idea of the vision of success and what it looks like. And I couldn't imagine doing stunts backwards, or I'm trying to even think about how I would do my drop backwards and throwing backwards and all that.
That's what I'm right.
But that's crazy.
It's crazy, right? I mean, I'm glad you said it like that too. But I mean, this is the mind of a Christopher Nolan, still in the same way, thinking about it this way. And so some of these fights, you gotta, the way you throw a punch and in the movement, how, that kind of phrase. I know forwards and backwards. I know inside out. Well, he literally had to do that on this film. And I think you really appreciate, especially the stunt sequences in this, because that's exactly what's happening. So I think you really appreciate that experience.
Yeah, for sure. I know you've worked with two of the greatest, directors of all time, and Spike Lee and also Christopher Nolan. And, if you were, a football coach, let's just say, how would you describe their style in terms of coaching, in terms of, how they teach the game? I think about, professionalism. I think about, how perfect everybody wants every detail to be. How would you describe that? Because I'm thinking about Coach Carroll, for example, and how he loves everything to be, set up and detailed and everything else. But also he's free. He's like, do what you feel is best, like right here, to see it, feel in the moment. He gives us he calls it player's mind. Give you the player's mind. But when you think about people like Christopher Nolan, and you think about people like Spike Lee and people like Michael Jackson, I heard were so detailed in every little movement.
Right.
What were they like?
Yeah, I never thought about what I could compare it to. I mean, I think about maybe an Andy Reid mixed with a Belichick. I mean, just how cerebral Chris Nolan is. I mean, it's almost like he predicted this pandemic. I swear, like he's just so ahead of the game and on things, but yet he's so free, like you said, Pete Carroll is, and he welcomed my instincts. That's what I love. This is what I loved about both of these guys. And when I say guys, Spike Lee and Christopher Nolan, that they're at the top of their game, right? They've accomplished so much. They really don't know. They don't need any awards or anything to validate their accomplishments and what they've done, what they've contributed to the art, right? They've done so well, and they've produced this life, changing, movie experiences, at least for me. And here they are having this youthful, exuberant energy daily on set. They love production, and they're humble in the way that the best idea in the room wins, that they want the best for the movie. They want the best story to be told. So there is an ego removed when you're taking your words and sort of handing it over to your actors, taking your playbook and handing it over to your quarterback. I think when they've been successful with so many different people and so many different times consistently, and yet they have no egos. And I've been on sets where it's not the case, where it's my idea and also offer some insecurity or whatever it may be. But here these guys are at the top of their game. They don't need anything. They know what to do. They know how to do it. And yet they at least make you feel like they're still learning. They have this sense of wonder and curiosity that I think is maybe the secret sauce and why they're so consistent with what they do. They're open to discovery. I think they just, on a fundamental level, on a basic level, just love storytelling. I think they appreciate performances and what artists can bring to them when you have the right energy. And by that I mean when you're just there to service the film. If we all are in the service industry, if we're serving this movie for the audience, then there shouldn't be an ego. It shouldn't be a problem. Let's just find out what's best for the movie. We can try different things. We can keep things. We can throw stuff away, but we find it together as a unit. And that's what they both possessed, along with all their technical movies, the movie filming skills. I mean, it's just next level for me. It was a great experience.
Thank you to DangerTalk's presenting sponsor, DraftKings. Download the DraftKings app now and use code DangerTalk.